Good day and welcome to Fides Television, reaching you live on Fides Media. I am Dennis Joy. This is Newsflash. We're about to dive into the top stories for the week with in-depth updates from the Fides newspaper. Let's get started after the short break. Please stay tuned. Glad to have you back. Now let's have a rundown of the top stories for this week. Anambra 2025. Can Labour Party upset the apple cart? In November this year, Anambra State will go to polls to elect a governor, just as the incumbent governor of the state, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, may be seeking re-election on the platform of All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA. The support of the former governor, Peter Obi, helped him to win the hearts of the people of the state, and it was believed that he had solutions to the problems of the state. This story is continued on page 4 of the Fides newspaper. And on page 10, Pope shares a message of hope and encouragement to the sick. In his message for the 33rd World Day of the Sick, Pope Francis says God remains close to those who suffer through encounter, gifts, and sharing. Meanwhile, the solemn celebration of the World Day, which normally takes place every 3 years, is postponed until 2026. You can get more details of this story from page 10. And on page 2, Ebenebe, the Catholic Bishop of Awka Diocese, His Lordship Most Reverend Paulinus Eze-Okafor, on Sunday, 26 January 2025, visited St. Joseph Catholic Church, Ebenebe, in Awka North local government area of Anambra State. In a homily during the concelebrated Holy Mass, Bishop Eze-Okafor frowned at the subjection of widows to all manner of inhuman treatment. He urged the community leaders to do away with what he described as obnoxious and archaic endeavors, saying that the acts would prevent any widow who might wish to maintain purity after her husband's death and would increase and encourage waywardness. You can get more details of this story on page 2 of the Fides newspaper. And on page 5, 11 family members roasted in Enugu tanker explosion. Members of an entire family numbering 11 have reportedly died in a petrol tanker explosion at Ugu Onyama, near Enugu. This follows the identification of one Jeremiah Amuchi Nwaji as one of the victims of the tragic fuel tanker explosion that occurred on Saturday, January 27. According to reports, he did not only lose his life, his wife, 6 children, as well as his family members also lost their lives in the incident. In close relations to the story, a Labour Party Guber aspirant in Anambra State, Mr. John Nwosu, has expressed his heartfelt condolences to the victim of the tragic tanker explosion, which is said to occur at Ugu Onyama near Enugu State. Details of the story can be found on page 5 and 8 respectively. And on page 12, healthcare supports. The former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, has donated a sum of 100 million to Immaculate Heart of Mary Health System in Miata, Anambra State. He reiterated his commitment to supporting key institutions across Nigeria to strengthen communities and foster national development. You can take a look at page 12 of the Fides newspaper for more details of the story. 4 arrested in Anambra for burning 74-year-old woman to death. And on security matters, Unizik CSO warns against staff seeking free rides after work. These 2 stories and more can be found on page 9 of the Fides newspaper. Still on the matters of security, the governor of Anambra State is getting on top of the game. Page 15 of the Fides newspaper has details of the story. Now let's move over to the editorial segments for this week. Agune Chamber and the danger of false narratives. The editorial further reads, late last week, the social and traditional news media were awash with the stories of the discovery of 30 graves on the top floor of a hotel in Oba in Idemili South local government area of Anambra State, which led to the demolition of the hotel by the state government. A shrine was also reportedly discovered at the place said to be used for criminal activities. The news had come as a mixture of shock and elation to members of the public who have been traumatized by the activities of criminals and their collaborators in the states. Details of our editorial for this week can be found on page 3 of the Fides newspaper. And that's all on this week's episode of Newsflash. Many thanks for staying with us. Kindly follow us on all our social media handles for more updates. And do not forget to get a copy of the Fides newspaper this week for your reading pleasure. I'm still your anchor on Newsflash, Dennis Joy. Enjoy the rest of the evening.